Oh,
Hi. Sorry, I started a couple of minutes late. I was on my other account.
no worries.
How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Getting pretty freaked out by some of the stuff I'm seeing right now around the federal government.
Yep, I think we all are. Did you
Um,
s- did you see the thing that apparently all 501(c)(3)s working on environmental justice are going to lose their tax deductible status?
I hadn't.
Yep, that was just being texted around my
Well,
colleagues.
Um, yeah, feels
I
like
mean, there's nothing else to say about it. I
it
mean,
feels like it's all just falling apart. Um, so maybe we can help a little bit with this. Uh,
yeah.
so Nicola's meeting with the mayor tomorrow, apparently. And would like to present to him present the proposal again, I guess. And wants to know that everyone who we want to pull in is committed to do it. Yeah, I guess she wants a list of names or organizations and names to hand to him. I think they're just gonna have a discussion about what when would be good to have it. It wasn't really clear what has changed, what we need, whether we need to change anything. Um,
I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to. Number one, I don't think we're going to be able to hear back from and get commitments from people, all of them by tomorrow. And second of all, like, I kind of don't want to go asking people again and then be like, well, we're not sure if this is going to happen or what day it is.
yeah,
Because, like, we tried that once and then they were sort of left hanging.
yeah.
Well, with only, like one or two people. But
I
I
think
feel,
we. I mean, if we gave a date, do you think that they would say yes?
I don't, the people that we're going to ask,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, and then are they gonna like is the mayor and gonna approve it? Like, I feel like they need to tell us we're allowed to do this before we start like involving other people.
Yeah. Um,
Because then I'm the one who looks like the idiot if I'm like repeatedly reaching out to these people and then being like, oh, never mind, even though, it's not our fault.
I mean, so yeah, they have a list. Like we provided a list before when we provided the original proposal. So, I mean, how about I just say, this is the list from our original proposal. We still want to use this group of folks. If we can decide on a date and you can give it your blessing, then we can go ahead and reach out to them and say definitively this is when it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it
I
sounds like we're not going to be allowed to have somebody from the police department, which like the more I think,
I I asked her about that early yesterday, and she said she would have a conversation with them because I think it's pretty important for them to.
I do too, and I also think it's like kind of unacceptable to be like, well, we're not going to tell you what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how democracy is supposed to work.
Yeah. I guess they have provided a statement at some point saying we are not going to assist ICE, but we are also not going to get in the way of them. Something
Okay,
to that
so come
effect.
and say like that and
Yeah.
more complicated, you know?
And that's what I said to her yesterday. Like if they were willing to even just come out and say that, that would still be useful to
Yeah, like that's what
to
we're
keep
looking
everyone
for is
present. Yeah.
for people to like have an understanding of what is going on.
So she said she would sit down and talk with them about that and get back to me. So
Okay. That's good because
yeah,
yeah, like when you first said it, I was like, oh, well, that's too bad. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, that's really not okay.
same, same. No, I agree. I think it's super important that they actually speak. Just even if it's just to say, yeah, we're not going to help them, but we're not going to get in the way.
Well, I mean, I
Still
feel like
something.
I don't think anybody was asking them to make like political speeches
Yeah,
from the beginning. It was just
yeah.
like just
I think
like
there's
bottom line, what it is people should expect from you,
yeah.
you
There's
know.
fear of there's fear of standing out, there's fear of loss of funding. Like we're seeing all this, we're seeing what's happening to these groups that are pushing back, and the administration has realized that they can withhold money as a way to control.
I mean, I feel like number one, this is Massachusetts. Like they're already going to target us, just like period,
Yeah.
because we're such a blue state. And then if they take one look at like numbers of immigrant residents, they could zero right in on Framingham as one of them. And I also feel like maybe it's time for them to think of like, what if that happens?
Yeah.
Because I have personally looked very highly on some of the institutions and organizations recently that have come out and been like, I'm not doing that. So take
Hmm.
my funding and we'll figure something out. I'm Harvard, which of course is easy for them to do because they've got, a ridiculous amount of
Yeah.
money. But I just saw too, like some group, some nonprofit in Boston just withdrew an application for federal funding because they're like, we're not
Yeah. We're not
doing
willing to
that.
follow this. Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like there's an opportunity. Not that I'm going to like bring this up to them about like doing it, but I feel like there's an opportunity for them to be like, okay, that is not within the values of this community. So, like, what are we going to do? Maybe the answer is like, we're going to go on the ballot. We're going to get permission to like raise taxes for us to pay for it ourselves, or we're going
Yeah.
to go to some sort of like foundation that it all shares our values and be like, we need this money because, you know, we've lost or we're going to lose federal funding, and just like figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's beside the point. I think like what they've already put out in a statement, like, in some more detail so that people can like really understand what that means for them is all we
Yeah.
wanted them to say to begin with.
Okay. So I'll again push her on that then. I need to take, we don't have a note taker here. I need to take some notes. Let me see. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, we don't want to reach out to those folks again until we actually have something definitive from the mayor here.
Yeah.
Um, hmm, so let me get this open.
No, no worries. I swear it's getting so bad. Maybe we should add somebody like, a construction expert of like how to construct a hidey hole like in your attic to hide people. Like, I hate to be, semi joking, but I'm kind of not joking. Like, that's the sort of thing that's been going through my head.
Yeah, I don't think we're there yet, but it's very hard to tell when we are going to be there.
Yeah, I'm scared we're gonna be there. It's the problem.
The one that really freaked me out was the homegrown line the other day. I don't know if you saw that. He was
Mm-mm.
Trump was talking to the El Salvadorian presidents and said, "We're going to start sending you homegrown criminals now."
Oh Lord.
So
I mean, not surprising
yeah,
because I know, even in our last meeting when somebody was like, "Oh yeah, and I'm not an illegal," I mean, I know exactly who it was, but I'm not an illegal, immigrant either. I'm like, we're not even, first of all, offensive, but second of all, we're not even talking about like illegal, like,
yeah. This is folks with green cards. These are
or
folks who
citizenship. Like,
yeah
I'm worried about people with, I'm not worried about myself quite yet,
yeah
but like people who have citizenship who, speak with an accent or are not white,
yeah
I am concerned about. I'm a little concerned about, I have two nieces who, obviously their mom's my sister. They are native born American, but were born and raised in the UK. And I'm a
Mm.
little concerned about them walking around because they have accents, you know?
Yeah,
Although they are white, so that will probably protect them. But
yeah, until it doesn't.
yeah, but for the moment, I feel like they're probably okay.
Yeah.
One of them can switch her accent at will. So, like, it's occurred to me if she comes to visit, should I tell her to speak with an American accent in public? Like, the other one cannot do that. So,
Something to start working on.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on well, I keep meaning to work on Italian citizenship. I have the ability to get Italian citizenship if I want. So I'd have EU access. But
I've seen that, like, a number of other countries are working on, like, a path to accepting America. Like, I saw Norway was thinking about accepting trans people as refugees.
wow.
Scotland, like in their parliament, they somebody introduced a bill to accept, I think it was LGBT as well, but like it may have been anybody. I think her speech was something to the effect of like some people are finding the US very difficult at the moment and we would be a more welcoming community. So it might be like anybody.
Yeah.
Canada was working on a path to citizenship for us. So yeah,
I have a number of trans friends who are very scared right now.
uh, yeah, understandably.
Yeah. Did you get out to the protest in Boston the other day?
I did not. I was at another event though that somebody came to with the, who had been at it and said
It was
that
great.
it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really invigorating to see so many people standing up together. So,
I go to those things on occasion, but like I do activism for work.
mhm.
So a lot of the times I'm kind of like,
Yeah, you
hey,
need to not do that for your free time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Full time I'm doing that already. Like I need some rest.
Um,
So I don't go to a lot of them unless I'm, helping put it on.
yeah. I yeah, I went to that one and I don't do a lot of activism normally. So like it was good to take that time to get out there and see just how many people there are who are angry right now and just the diversity of frustration, but at the same time, like there's a lot of joy. Like, there's a lot of frustration, but there's a lot of joy there too. There's a big marching band that was getting everyone dancing and
I think
clapping.
the last protest I went to, and I was speaking at it, which is why it was on Long Wharf, I want to say last Halloween. And it was like the king tide. So it was like the wharf was half underwater.
Oh wow.
And everybody was, slopping around. Like everybody had worn like their wading boots and, their sandals and was slopping around in it. And then somebody put on the Monster Mash and like was teaching people a dance to it. Like it was the same thing of like this is really serious and scary, but like
Yeah, that's
we can
silly.
have a good time. I
Yeah.
have video of all these people standing like, a foot deep in water on the pier, in costumes and dancing.
Be worried about falling off.
No, you can't really. I mean, you
Okay.
could,
Hmm.
and if
This
it
is a
got
pretty
higher
clear
than that
edge.
and you were like, well, it's like cobblestoned
Okay.
and like there's like a what do you call it, like a chain sort of like fencing around the
Oh, okay.
outside,
Yeah,
so
I
like,
haven't actually been to the long wharf.
well, like if it got really high enough that there could be waves to wash you off like hurricane
Yeah.
level, sure, but like,
Okay, but there are the chains there.
yeah, you're not gonna, and actually some parts of it there's like a concrete like half wall that I
Yeah.
was like standing on to talk, so like, yeah, you're not going to just like up and fall off in normal conditions.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Wow.
it was something.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
exciting
if
to actually get up there and talk.
maybe if we ever see each other in person, I'll have to show you some video from that because it was
Yeah.
a good time.
Actually,
People,
I met up with Damon in person for the first time yesterday. It was a really good conversation yesterday or 2 days ago. I would love for us to all get together. I really think it would be worth it for us to all actually be like meet in person. It's just not the same being on a Zoom call. But yeah, it seems like it's pretty hard to get everyone in the same like.
I think you might not get everyone. Maybe you
Yeah,
might have to go like one by one if you want to meet folks.
yeah. Um,
Because yeah,
yeah, it was good to meet up with Damon one on one. We got about an hour talking together about his various projects he's working on. Yeah, it's a much better way to get to know a person than yeah, just like this little tiny box, two
I
small
feel like
box.
there's such a positive negative of like having Zoom as like an accepted part of life enables me and others to do things that we couldn't otherwise, and then also
Yeah,
you miss some things. So I don't feel strongly like one way or the other. I'm very ambivalent about, you know, there's
yeah.
some really good stuff and there's some stuff that's not great.
I think it's worth it to do one time in person, and then like maybe from there switch to Zoom. Um, so you get that sense of I don't know. I feel like you can get a better sense of who people are in some way.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like
Mhm.
one of the biggest things that I miss with most of my meetings for everything being on Zoom now is
Yeah.
the sort of accidental talking to people, like the bumping into them in line, at the deli or,
Hmm.
in the bathroom or whatever. And like
Yep.
seeing people you haven't seen in a while, like in the hallway of the state house or whatever, like that doesn't
Yeah, and
happen. You
catching
have to
up a
like,
little bit. Yeah,
yeah,
like
you have to
catching up
like
on personal stuff
purposely
or
talk
yeah.
to them,
Hmm.
which you don't usually with a lot of people, like unless there's a reason to.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing my company was trying to work on. Like, how do we get back they're calling it like the water cooler conversation. It's just like it's the conversation that people used to have, when they were getting coffee at the same time in the break room, or yeah, just like those little conversations that can turn into big things, just a random interaction.
I do feel like to some degree, if like they are trying to get that back, what they can do is just like not control the group meetings so much.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's some people who know that their employees aren't getting that, but then they're like, okay, let's stay on task when everybody starts to get rowdy in a meeting.
Yep.
And it's like, well, but that's what they're doing.
Yep. Yeah, people need to get rowdy sometimes. You have to let them sort
Yeah.
of go off. Yeah.
Or like off task and like joking with each other. I feel like if what you want is for them to have those interactions, you need to plan some time in your head of
Mhm.
like, it's fine to let us get off track for a while
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's what they're doing.
I mean, what I would do in my meetings was the first 5 minutes of a half hour meeting would just be, what's up? How are you doing? What's going on with you? Like, what's going on in your life? Blah, blah, blah. Just like chatting. But I mean, that was also always in like really little meetings.
I mean, I've been in some meetings with like varying degrees of like how much we've all interacted and how well we know each other.
Yeah.
And like when the group of people has worked together a lot, there will be people will start to get into like, giving each other a hard time, like in good fun, and like making jokes about stuff. And I feel like it's the response to that that varies a lot of like some people just like let it go for a
Mhm.
while or like participate themselves and are laughing and let it get off track for 10 minutes or whatever.
Mhm.
And then some people are like, okay, guys, like we need to get back
Bring
to
it
the
in, bring it in, bring it
agenda,
in. Yeah.
which I feel like, it's not like they're out of line or whatever, but then
Mhm.
I worked remotely for like a year and a half long before the pandemic. It was like 2011 and 12, I think. And so we would routinely, like, we were in different states, like, we could
Mhm.
not get together. And we, had a staff meeting every week. And our boss was very like, okay, guys, like, let's stay on track.
Yep.
And then he was on vacation one week. So we had the call without him. And there was a lot more of that, just like getting off task. But we found that
Yeah.
we like, were more creative and we thought of things that like never, it had been a thing we were wondering for a while, but it never was really on the agenda and that sort of thing. And so we
Yep.
asked him, we were like, we don't mean this as an insult to you, but would you mind if we had calls without you also?
Yeah.
like regularly, just so that we could have that. And he was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's great.
It's not that we don't like you,
Yeah.
just a different experience
Yeah,
without
it's
you
just
here.
yeah, not having the authority there, yeah, or not having
Yeah,
the
and the person
structure there.
who's policing it and trying to keep people on task, like we were getting different things out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it'd be good to do both, right? Have some sort of
Yeah.
hybrid between the two.
I
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
feel like it was some time ago, but I feel like we started having, did we do it every week?
Hmm,
I can't remember exactly how often we started doing it, but we did start having regular calls without him.
nice. Yeah. Yeah, and Nicole was telling me that they have some committees that end up having like 3 hour meetings, and that it's getting to be a big problem in some situations. And yeah, so I can understand in those sort of cases where you would want someone to
That's
really be keeping
yeah.
us on track, like working hard to do that. But yeah, like if it's not if there isn't a lot that needs to be dealt with or like you got some time, it seems worth just like
Or
letting
if it's
it
like
done.
something you're doing for your job and people like have to do this
Yeah.
and they're meeting regularly anyway, and you know they're lacking that, informal interaction, that you would in your head see it as an agenda item,
Yeah.
you
Yeah, that
know?
should be yeah, one of the items on there. Like just go off
I,
and do something. Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily need to write it down because I think if you try to plan it, it doesn't happen as well. But if you're like in your head, this is one of the agenda items, so I'm going to add like 5 minutes to every task more than I think that we need.
Yeah.
Just figuring that at some point,
It's gonna go off.
yeah, and then I'll
Yeah.
have the flexibility to just let them do that for a while.
Yeah, I feel like for our committee meetings, there's some of that. It definitely like goes off randomly in different directions every once in a while. Yeah, and then gets pulled back as needed. I definitely like feel in those meetings I just want to get them over with, but that's not very good. Like I should be willing to just sort of let it go and see where it goes. Um, yeah, Nicole was really saying like there's a lot of possibilities with this committee, and we need to just sort of decide where we want it to go and be willing to start taking some actions.
I feel like it's a hybrid. Like for me, it's like part of the inaction is, you know, some of the commissioners not really seeming to have ideas or want to move forward, um,
Careful,
which
this is
might,
being recorded.
I know, which might come from, you know, their experiences of how frustrating this has been.
Yeah.
And then I think, like, to some degree, it's been really difficult to get through some of the, when we're trying to do something, to get through some of the bureaucratic
Yeah,
hurdles that have been put up.
I'm not at all, this is not my thing at all, like dealing with bureaucracies. Normally, I ignore them utterly and just do my own thing and then get in trouble for that at the companies I've worked with. But yeah, like I'm trying to do it right here. Um, and like I don't know if you saw, I sent a message to you guys saying, "Oh wait, the 7 o'clock rule doesn't apply to us," which is like yet another like little wrinkle on the whole open meeting laws thing.
What? I
Apparently, the
don't.
7 o'clock thing is just a Framingham rule.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I've never heard of that. The only thing that I've heard about related to the time is like if you're doing a public comment period, for, like one of the or, people who do like initial drafts of things and then have
Mhm.
a public comment period. You can't have like all of the public comment periods at, like 2 p.m. on a Wednesday because like
Okay,
nobody can give
that
like
makes sense.
there's just a thing of like it has to be at a time when people can
Yeah,
actually
people can actually
participate.
make it, or like
Yeah,
important folks would be able to make it. Yeah,
like a weekend or whatever. It just has to be reasonable.
that makes sense. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you might have some of them at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, but like that can't be the only.
yeah. That can't be the norm. Or maybe have that and yeah, another time.
Yeah, that can't be the only option. Only people who can make it at that time can give public comment.
Yeah. So yeah, in the future, that's nice that we don't have to adhere to that necessarily. It's still not clear whether we can do weekends. Apparently, there's something Nicole's still trying to clarify that, whether committees and or subcommittees are able to do weekend meetings. Um, I don't know. There's just a lot of like competing rules at like state and local level, and then like in the charter versus rules that have just been like passed by city council. Um,
So what is the 7 o'clock? Does that apply to like the whole commission?
she was saying, yeah, commission meetings or commission slash committee, I'm not sure what the difference is, have to both be from 7 o'clock. They have to start at 7 o'clock or later. But she was saying
Okay.
it turns out that doesn't apply to subcommittees.
Okay.
And that is a Framingham only rule. And she wants to change it. Um, but it would have to go through the city council in order to change it.
Well, I know like half of them, so I could go and
Really?
be like, yeah, like
Okay.
what the heck?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. She seemed to think it wasn't worth trying to get that through right now. Um,
Yeah.
that it would be a big fight,
I
even.
also am interested in their like definition of, because like I don't even really think that what we're trying to do qualifies as a subcommittee.
Yeah.
Like in the previous, when I was on a commission at the state level,
Hmm.
we had certain like standing committees,
Okay.
and those had to abide by open meeting laws. So, like,
Hmm.
for example, I chaired the Legislative and Public Policy Committee, which was like a standing committee, had like, official leadership and membership. But
Hmm.
then there was like what they called an ad hoc committee, which was like what we were doing of like,
Okay.
okay, we've approved this thing. Those three people are going to go do it. So, like, it wasn't an actual committee. It was like a couple of people are going to go do
Okay.
the thing that we've already agreed on,
Yeah.
and there's not deliberate, like there's just like logistics
That's
and getting
great. I
work
mean, that makes a
done.
lot of sense to me. Like that's I feel like it's sort of like we're sort of the executive group. Like we are taking actions right now. There's the committee that is voting on things, making decisions, and then there's the group like us. We're a smaller thing that is just going out and actually taking those actions
Doing it,
and
yeah,
like
like
doing it. And like that, the I feel like it should have different rules associated with it. It shouldn't necessarily have the same like type of oversight.
which
Um,
at the state level
yeah.
it doesn't, like you're
Okay.
allowed to do that.
Well, that would be great if we could make that determination. Um, yeah, I don't even know how we would figure something like that out. Would that just be in the charter? Would that be, I mean, the open meeting laws are like that the open meeting law is state level, so maybe there's something in there about this.
I mean, I think it's partly up to like, the legal interpretation.
Okay.
And from what I've been hearing, like whoever, Framingham's counsel is, seems to have been like interpreting it extremely conservatively.
Yeah.
Whereas, the group I was on, first of all, like half of them were lawyers. And some of them then like consulted with the partners at their firms,
Hmm.
some
That's
of which were very tiny firms and some of which were just like gargantuan firms. And they were like, yeah, our determination is that this is fine.
okay.
Um, they also came back with, this was my favorite legal thing, that the legal definition of a deliberation is a conversation leading to a vote. So by definition, if you don't vote, it wasn't a deliberation. So like, I mean, if that is like
Okay.
the what's in the law, is a deliberation is a conversation leading to a vote. So they're like, if you don't vote on it, it was a conversation. It wasn't a deliberation.
That's fascinating.
So if we like didn't have a quorum at meetings or whatever, we would still have them and we'd have the discussion, but we just wouldn't vote.
Just
And
don't actually have any votes. So
yeah, the
don't
vote would
yeah,
have to be put off until
don't have
another
any
time.
binding decisions like that. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, we
Yep.
did have a little bit of a conversation at the when we didn't have a quorum. It was just like, I mean, it's hard not to. sort of like a what have you guys accomplished? Like what do you know what date it's going to be? No, we haven't figured out a date, but yes, we figured out the Zoom stuff.
Well, and honestly, that regardless should be fine because that's just like updating with information. That's like
Mhm.
not making any decisions that the public needs to have a chance to like view and weigh in on. That's just like, here's
Yeah.
what's been happening on the thing we've already discussed, which is completely allowed under open meeting law.
I'm taking a training on it on April 29th, I think, so that'll help. Um,
Yeah, I took that.
okay.
Maybe it will help.
Okay. Oh man, I've been thinking about just like feeding all the legislation into a chat bot and just like asking it questions or like having it make me a presentation or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't enjoy reading vast quantities of legal text. I know
I
there's
feel
some
like
people who,
everybody who enjoys that is a lawyer.
yeah,
Nobody else.
or really sick in some way,
Yeah,
which I guess is maybe a,
maybe the people who went to law school, and I'm giving them a hard time because there are some lawyers that I dearly love,
yeah,
but they have problems, clearly.
yeah. Yeah, Nicole was telling me she really enjoys sifting through all this stuff, trying to figure out what the actual regulation is, what the actual ruling is, whatever.
She's got some problems.
Yeah, yeah. But I appreciate that she does it so she can help us figure all this stuff out.
I feel that way about IT people.
Yeah.
Like, y'all have problems.
Oh, I love solving IT problems.
I'm glad that somebody enjoys that because no.
Yeah. Like solving a math equation. There's a clear solution to it somewhere in here, and I just have to futz around with it enough until suddenly it all works out.
I've heard that of like, figuring out the puzzle like
Yeah.
is satisfying to me. And I'm like, I
So
understand
good.
that cognitively, but I will never really get it.
Yeah. This is
I'll
the
just give all the
dopamine rush
problems
you
to
get. Oh,
you. But also some people cannot stand politics, and that's like what I do.
yeah.
So
I
I'll take that hit.
I am fascinated by it. I love watching it from the sidelines, but yeah, don't really want to get in wade into it if possible. I don't know, do you do much reading? There's a book I've been listening to an audiobook lately called The Power Broker by Robert Caro, and it's
Mm.
fantastic, and I've been recommending it to everyone.
I
Uh,
have never really gotten into audiobooks, and
no?
I've come to the conclusion that I think that my brain processes things differently if I'm hearing them versus seeing them.
Oh, interesting.
Like it doesn't feel like the same experience.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I could understand that. I do feel like it doesn't stick as well.
yeah, I same thing if if I'm listening to it, my
Yeah.
brain is like not paying attention. It's somewhere, you know, else sometimes.
Yeah, usually I'm listening to it while doing something, and so it means that I don't have my entire attention focused on it. So maybe that has something to do with why it doesn't like fully stick.
Yeah.
I still get the overarching themes of it of what I'm reading, but like the specific details, it's harder to recall, which is too bad. But yeah, I just find it's a lot easier to like fit into my day.
Oh,
Um,
sure. Yeah, which is why I've like considered it or like while you're driving or something, but it's
yeah.
just never stuck for me, so.
Yeah. Well, this book is very good, and it's about a commissioner, the parks commissioner in New York City, um, basically using that post to control the whole state government and New York City government and build massive amounts of bridges and tunnels and roads and state parks and yeah. He's not a good man, but he's fascinating when it comes to like learning how to use the system
I
to
mean, it sounds like
do
he
what you
was
want.
using this for good at least. Like,
At times, there are a lot of times where like, he didn't really care what the public actually wanted. He just sort of had his vision for what the public wanted and built that. And a lot of times it was pretty destructive,
mm,
like building highways through neighborhoods. yeah, because he felt that it was the right thing to do and didn't really care that the public disagreed with him. And he was such a master at legislation that he managed to construct legislation that insulated him from elections and from any sort of public oversight. So, yeah,
I know a few like that.
fascinating book. Yeah,
Sometime when
that's
we're
it.
not being recorded, I can tell you, like which politicians in Massachusetts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it happens. It.
I actually don't really care that I'm being recorded, but it just would be a long tangent. I'd
Yeah,
say it to their face.
yeah. Well, we could do a not recording sometime and then just not have a deliberation, not have a vote at the end of it.
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't actually care. I'm kind of made it, but you know,
Yeah, I don't know. Is this going to be thrown up on the Framingham website? I'm not sure what happens to it afterwards.
I don't know.
Yeah. I learned that apparently my email can be sifted through via um it's the Freedom of Information Act now
Hmm.
because I didn't separate it from didn't create a new email address.
That's why I created a new email address. Although, if they have a request, they're like, please forward me all of your emails from this time, which seems to me like a very
I figured they would go to Google and say like subpoena them or something.
no. The information, because it's happened a couple of times. The
Yeah.
information officer was like, please send me all emails that you sent or received between this time. And I'm thinking to myself, like, if I had anything to hide, why wouldn't
Yeah.
I just
It
not
seems
send
pretty
you
easy
that
to
one?
I assume it's set up that way on purpose.
I don't know, but I just was like, that seems like I don't know, unenforceable system to me,
Yeah.
even though like there was absolutely nothing interesting in my email,
Sure.
so fine.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything of particular interest. Yeah. But yeah, still like I'm just not interested in someone sifting through my emails.
Oh, well, I set up a separate one for that reason,
Yeah, I
but
just
like,
did. I just did now. I've got yeah, Matt Brown, Framingham, HRC. So um I want to pull it back in because I go grab dinner before I play Civilization with a friend. So in terms of immigration forum stuff, I have an idea of what I need to put together to send to Nicole. Um, I think we just present to her the list of folks we already have for the proposal and say like if we can get a definitive answer from the mayor on this, then we're comfortable to start reaching out to them. Um, I don't think we should set a date with her and the mayor until we've had a chance to talk to them a little bit more and figure out when they have availability, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's such
awkward
a
to coordinate between them.
it is awkward to like coordinate between them and to ask them and to be like, would you be available at some point,
Yeah.
like this week?
If we could
How
give like a set of 3 or 4 different dates, maybe that'd be the way to do it.
yeah, I let and be like,
Say
here are the
send someone
three.
from your organization, like
Yeah.
we'll give have a little bit of flexibility there.
I f I feel like in most cases it could be like anybody from the organization. So in that case, like we might even just like pick a date and be
Okay.
like, this
Assuming
is
someone from the org who's going to be able to.
yeah, and then they can pick. I'm not necessarily
Yeah.
opposed if you want to pick like three. I just feel like that brings in another level of
Yeah.
complexity and
The
uncertainty.
worry is if it turns out they have some sort of major commitment that everyone from the org is going to be attending or something like that. They might
Yeah.
want them to spare someone. But yeah, it's true. Like giving 3 dates like creates another layer of decisions that slows this whole thing down.
And a like, yeah, can you please, I've been in cases before and then it took a long time for people to get back. So people are like, well, I can't hold all of these on my calendar. So I'm just going to keep scheduling stuff. And then you come back and they don't have the same availability they had before.
Mhm.
So
So
it
how about
just,
yeah, maybe we just say like tentatively this date, is this something that you could do? and like maybe we have another date available in our back pocket just in case that one doesn't work.
Just in case a crazy thing comes up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Um,
seems reasonable.
um, sorry, I writing this down.
And
And
I
then,
think like when we talked
oh,
before, we were like a Thursday night would be a good time to do it.
mhm.
Um, so
How many weeks out do you think from now?
I think that we should schedule it from like when the mayor's office like approves it rather
Yeah,
than
so
from
if
now.
she has that conversation tomorrow with him and he says, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." Um, 3 weeks out?
Maybe four,
Yeah.
mid-May.
Yeah, it's like we want to give folks time to plan, but also like this stuff is just it's just gonna get worse. So we want
Yeah,
yeah, we want to be quick if possible. Obviously, we screwed up on that, but or I did. So like maybe yeah, mid-May, like May 15th ish.
sure. Is that a Thursday? I don't even know.
See. Um yeah, it is actually. Cool.
Great.
So why don't we say tentatively Thursday the 15th, and if not, Thursday the 22nd?
Sure.
Can you think of any major events happening on those days that might get in the way of stuff?
No, but let me just hop on Google and see if anything comes up.
Okay.
BSO was doing a Star Wars concert that night.
Oh, oh man, I keep seeing Facebook ads about that. That would be so cool.
Uh, Nothing at the moment is coming up.
Okay.
I'd say the only like who knows, there may be a protest at that time, but they usually have the big ones on Saturday. So
Yeah, it's
just
better
because
to have
they
fun.
wouldn't usually have planned this far ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, there's gonna be one on the 19th, I think. There's a big celebration in Lexington coming up this weekend, Saturday. It's when it's like
Is
the
it
250th anniversary of the shot heard
Paul
around the
Revere
world.
of what?
The shot heard round the world, the first shots of the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, I have seen.
Proud Boys are going to be there.
Oh God,
Yeah.
why?
I don't know. Celebrating the monarchy.
Because of what?
Celebrating the monarchy.
Interesting. Yeah, I've not seen that. I have seen, I keep getting ads about like they're reenacting Paul Revere's ride, and people are being like,
That's kind of cool.
I think it's kind of cool. And also, some people are really like up in arms about the fact that there was like two other people who rode way farther than him, and why does he get all the credit? And I'm like, I get that, and
This is what happens with myths. That's
I'm
just what
glad they're
happens.
getting the credit and whatever,
Yeah.
but like it still would be fun to like
Yeah.
watch people reenact it. You know? Even knowing, I mean, I had known the William Dawes thing for a long time, but what
Mhm.
I've seen around this is that apparently there was a 16-year-old girl who rode
Wow. I didn't know
as
that.
well. I didn't either. So,
Cool.
yeah, but I have seen that, but I don't see anything that looks like it is a
Okay.
problem.
Let me take a look at the agenda too. I just like threw together an agenda figuring, yeah, they said there had to be one, so um
Ooh, hang on. I did just come across that, like when you get to the
okay.
22nd, it looks like we're starting to get into graduation time.
Oh, that's a good point.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any that are like it's a Thursday, so that's not usually when the huge ones are, but just something to be aware of that. And especially if it's online, because the really bad part with the graduations is like if you need people to stay in hotels or like travel.
Yeah.
So I don't think it should be a problem, but just something to keep in mind.
Okay. Um, this says, or the agenda says, finalize outreach and promotion strategy. Review logistics, including translation.
I would love to know because there is an automatic translation function
Yeah.
on Zoom. I don't know how good it is. And then the other thing is, I think that you said that there's a thing that like you can make it so that a live translator and the only people who can hear them are the people who need to hear it.
Yeah. I need to meet with, so I should set up a meeting with Susan Petroni about that, the communications lady. Let me see. Set up meeting with Susan Petroni.
And
Uh,
it sounded like the people from Brace were willing to like find somebody to do translation if we need somebody to do it. But
okay.
if the computer will do it reasonably for us, then I see no reason to complicate it. But if
Okay.
it's not good, then
So that's something I should figure out ASAP. I'll set up a meeting with Susan for in the hopefully, later this week, to figure out whether Zoom can sort of handle what we need it to do with regards to translation.
yeah. I mean, it definitely, I've used, like, I think I said the captions for folks who are, have hearing disabilities of various types, and that
Yeah.
works fine.
Okay.
It's just, like transcribes across the top.
Yeah. I'm like looking through the settings to see if there's anything about translation. I guess there's this like apps feature. Um,
It's like I want to say it's like in near where the transcription part is, like down near the bottom, maybe.
oh, I see. Okay, so there's an app you can add that's called Live Translation and Transcription. That's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm trying to add it.
For and granted, the last time I did it was like maybe a year ago, so they always like change little things, but you had to enable it before the meeting
Okay.
started.
Yeah, this looks like I have to enter an account, email and password in order to work
Yeah,
with.
like when you created the event, you had to like enable it, which
Yeah.
I don't know why that would need to be done, but that was how they had it set up.
Also, I'm not the one who creates the event. I have to tell Katya to create it apparently, or
Okay.
create the Zoom call. Translation. Yeah, so I'll talk to Susan about that and maybe Katya as needed. Um, and yeah, like as a like hopefully that's good enough. And if not, we could ask Brace to help out. They also Brace might also have experience with doing this on Zoom calls, right? They might know like
Yeah.
about it.
Were
Uh,
you the one who spoke to them?
I did not.
Oh, oh, it was email, I believe. I think that you sent an email and it was
Oh, I
CC
may
to
have
all
sent
of
it.
us.
Yeah.
So we should have the name of who that was someplace.
Is it just BRACE?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, yeah. I have two emails associated. Okay. Got a response from Lillian Costa.
Okay.
They said they want to participate. Um, I asked who we should contact to determine whether Saint Tarcisius would be available, which like we're not going to go with that, so we're not going to do physical space. And they said they'd get back to us, and then they didn't respond. Mary messaged them. Oh, I guess just messaged us.
So Lillian is the person that we should.
Yeah, Lillian was the one we talked with, it looks like. Um,
Okay.
I can post the name in. don't know if there's a chat here.
No, I have it in my email.
Okay.
I'm not looking at my email right now.
Yeah, Lillian Costa. Yeah, if you wanted to reach out and like just ask them what they normally do for translation or something like that, I don't know.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Also can maybe like just it's literally like a quarter mile down the street,
Oh,
maybe.
cool.
Not even like if I were a bird, it would be, much closer than that, but like there's a swamp in the middle, so you have to like go around the block.
Yeah,
But it's basically like at the
I don't know where they
other
are.
like right across
Um,
from the Framingham commuter rail station.
Oh, okay. I'm throwing in Google here. Oh, sure. Okay.
And I basically live like on the other side of that block from them.
Okay.
So
Oh, that swamp, Sweet Cedar Swamp.
hmm
Yep.
I live on the other side of that from
Cool.
Brace. So
Yeah.
and it's I mean, swamp sounds like it's large. It's not large.
Yeah. Is it actually like watery, wet? Is it like,
I've never gone down in there. There's just like trees and there's no buildings back there.
oh man, I would be back in there all the time wandering around, exploring it.
Yeah, like the one side of it I feel like is a little sketch. I feel like there's
Oh,
maybe
really?
some like folks who go in there to do illegal stuff. I don't know that for sure, but like
Okay.
just walking past that seems to be the case, but
Yeah.
that's only on the one edge of it.
Okay.
Um
That's too
yeah,
bad.
I've never gone back in there, so
Yeah. I really like woods, and I just sort of have a habit of disappearing into woods if there are woods available. Um,
I mean I'll tell you like the fact that it's a swamp does not necessarily encourage me to go into those particular woods.
yeah.
Seems like a lot of mosquitoes and things are going to get, problematic
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah, that word definitely isn't very enticing.
I'd probably pick different woods.
Yeah. You got Farm Pond over by you though.
Yeah, oh man, when the pandemic first started, that was my daily like getting out of the house was I would walk down
Nice.
the farm pond.
Yeah, I have a drone that I've been like experimenting with, and I did like sort of a photo shoot with a friend who does like circus like hooping stuff, like dancing with a hula hoop. And we went out on that like sort of causeway area on Farm Pond and did some pretty cool shots along there.
Yeah,
It's a pretty area. Yeah. All right. And then sorry, what was the last thing? There was something about uh
publicizing.
yeah, publicizing. I think that's also like a Sue Petroni thing.
Yeah, and I mean I think some of it, just like tell Brace and like send them,
Yeah.
we can eat I can easily make up a flyer,
Yep.
for them to pass around and Reverend what's his face, whose name is escaping me right
Yep.
now. And like there are people that we can let know.
Lloyd?
Yes,
Reverend Lloyd?
Reverend Lloyd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I gotta post a flyer in my apartment building.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a small apartment building, but like I think at least half the folks who live here do not speak English. So,
Okay.
and
So
they
maybe we
must
do a
know
flyer
people.
where it's like English, Spanish, Portuguese, like
Portuguese, yeah.
yeah, or maybe Portuguese first, right?
Maybe Portuguese. I mean, for my apartment building, definitely is Portuguese.
Yeah.
But there was a guy here who moved out who kind of spoke English, but it was Spanish was his language.
Okay.
But most of them speak Portuguese.
Yeah. So we'd have like a three-part flyer basically. You know, have a
Yeah.
way to condense it so it's yeah, everything they need to know. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think like I even could walk down to like, the main street and go into some of the businesses and, be they might take the, I don't want to draw attention.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, I think the fact that you go in there and like they have to call somebody who speaks English, like to
Yeah.
come talk to
That says
you
something.
already, you know what I mean? Like I was saying about the police, I think like they're already on the
Hmm.
front line of that. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Nicole said her meeting with the mayor is pretty early tomorrow, so I need to make this email tonight. Um,
Okay.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think what I'm gonna ask her is like, can you get definitive support from him? And these are the people we're interested in having come. And does the 15th work? We'd like to propose the 15th with the 22nd as sort of a back pocket option.
Yeah, and like, can you do it like what we want the police to say is just fleshing out exactly what they already
Yeah,
said. Can we revisit that,
yeah,
please? Because I
yeah.
think it's important.
Okay, I'll put that all in the email and I'll CC you and Mary on it. Um,
Okay.
yeah, cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'd also love to grab coffee sometime if you're available. Just like not
I'm
associated
laid
with.
off too, so that's
Yay, laid off together.
I have no money but nothing but time.
All right,
So,
great. So yeah, let's do coffee sometime.
alrighty.
When you're free.
Uh, when am I not free?
Yeah, right. That's easy.
I mean, I have the occasional thing. I have like a standing Monday night thing.
Hmm.
So not then.
How about tomorrow? My
Hang
appointment
on.
at 4:30. That's about it.
Hang on. I'm pulling up my calendar just to make sure. I
Cool.
probably don't have anything. Maybe I am if I can find it. You know what? Just get my phone. Yeah, tomorrow I have a thing. I have an appointment at 2:20, and other than that, I'm free.
Want to do like 10 at B Sister tomorrow?
In the morning, no. I don't. Uh, how about like, wait, what
Noon?
time's your thing? It's at
Uh,
4:30.
my thing's at 4:30.
How about like 12:30 at B Sister?
Let's do it.
Okay.
12:30. Let's see, 12:30 p.m. Coffee with Becca. Great.
Sounds good. I will see you then.
Awesome. I'll see you then.
Alrighty. Talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.